My name is Naomi Shapiro, and I am a communications specialist for the city of Wichita. My focus is arts and cultural services. I've kind of been working in the arts basically since high school. I wrote a record review column for my high school paper and worked on a couple of zines while I was in high school. After high school, when I was in college, I started in college in Texas. And I wrote for some magazines while I was there, mostly record reviews or live concert reviews and things like that. I managed bands, I booked bands, I worked for the college radio station, did a couple of shows. Professionally, after I got my first degree and had my first job that wasn't at a record store, I decided that I wanted to go back to school and get a graphic design degree. So I did that. I moved from Seattle, where I was living, to Memphis, Tennessee. My best friend from high school in Hawaii was dating a guy who owned an art gallery, and this guy Bob worked there, and I met him, and things happened. And we started dating. I got my degree in graphic design at the University of Memphis. And then we were going to spend a summer in Wichita because my parents lived here, and we ended up staying. So I'm a communications specialist, and my focus is arts and cultural services, but I am a member of the strategic communications team. So I do a lot of writing. I would say that I probably do more writing than I do graphic design or drawing or anything like that. So it's a lot of just ideation, a lot of endless scrolling these days, and just trying to keep current on trends in social media and things like that, to find out ways that people are listening to things, and to find out what people are wanting to see. I mean, you can always tell the stuff that I make because it looks like stuff I make, and that's just the way it is. But we have really good branding at the city, and I think that trying to make things as clear and concise as possible is usually my bellwether for design work for that stuff.
I get to bounce a lot of ideas off Naomi. I really use her as a sounding board. What do you think of this? What if I try that? And then it's like, you help me move forward.
Yeah, I think your paintings are really interesting from a graphic design perspective, just because I think that you have a more astute use of type over non-graphic design artists. I mean, I think you use a lot of type, and the way you use type is really interesting. I don't know, I see myself as a cheerleader. As a communications officer, I feel like aggregating things that are going on in town is really important. The number one thing that we hear from everyone in the community, no matter what, people are griping about at the city is, I didn't hear about that. And it's like, okay, well, there's so many ways that people get their communications these days. And my feeling is that if you can make friends and network with people, do it by word of mouth, do it by your favorite radio station, your television stations, We don't have an alternative news weekly except for the Shouts coming up, so I'm very excited about that becoming more of a back and forth commentating kind of thing. Right now it's great to have any kind of arts coverage that you can consume. The arts community is really vibrant, but it, like all of Wichita, seems to be pretty siloed. So people tend to stay in their own insular arts communities. So what I really love about the new direction of the Division of Arts and Cultural Services under the new Cultural Arts Plan is acknowledging that Wichita is a diverse community, and that not a lot has been done to unite those different siloed parts of Wichita. And I think that their vision and mission is to acknowledge and address the need for arts accessibility within the diverse populations of Wichita. Everything is inspiring, everything is inspiration. Bob's mired in the 80s, I'm mired in the 60s probably. I love mid-century, early 60s culture. I love big hair with a flip. I don't know, I've always loved graphic color schemes. I love prints. I love Marimekko. I love that Rebecca Hoyer used to work for Marimekko. That is so awesome and makes so much sense when you look at her work. I don't know. I mean, I think the biggest difference between what I do and what Bob does creatively is I would consider myself creative, but I'm not an artist. If you give me a prompt, I could probably come up with something that reasonably looks like art, but I don't make things of my own volition. And to me, that's what the dividing line is largely, is I don't create just willy-nilly. I do a lot of things creatively, but I don't consider myself an artist. It takes a village, but it does, right? I mean, you need everyone, from people who, say they don't have a creative bone in their body to people who, just patronize the arts. I mean, that's, if you just want to look at something pretty or not pretty or just thought-provoking, yes, I mean, everyone has a place in this world. I think that Wichita in the last year or two has become a much more welcoming place for people who just like art and like to experience it and want to be part of it, and it doesn't necessarily need to be a hierarchical arts community. I think that in this community there is a lot of tribal, discord, but I think if you want to roll up your sleeves and do things in this community, it's an easy community to do that in.